learning these skills. You're right; they're learning life skills. I told my daughter, right, there's always going to come a point where you're going to have to speak in front of a crowd.
That's right.
Whether it's going up in front of the water commission and protesting your water bill that was too high for no apparent reason.
Yep.
Right, you're going to have to do that at some point.
And here we go again, against the odds. It doesn't take a genius. Here are Mark and Mike.
Ramsey!
Marshall, how are you this morning?
I am ham-tastic.
Oh, I know why you said that. I do know why you said that. For those who don't know, which is, I would assume, basically all of our listeners who haven't had to hear me over the last couple of months talk about this, my kids have been participating in the Country Ham Project.
Ooh.
So we're going to talk about that today because there were some life lessons, let me tell you.
Right. Was this something with the CIA, the NSA, the Country Ham Project 2024?
Yes, very similar. It's 4-H. So yeah, very similar. Basically, I think they've been doing this since like 99, but the idea is that you buy a ham and the kid works with people at the extension office to cure it, salt cure it, clean it, shuck it, get
So
the
these
mold
are
off
ham
of it.
experts.
Oh yeah. They've
Right.
got. I mean, and it's a process. I mean, it's an extreme process. We'll use pictures so that people can see all of this. But
Okay, so these people are true hamsters.
oh boy, you're going to do this the whole time, aren't you? I'll just ignore it. Basically, yeah, you cure, clean, and shine up your ham, and all of these are parts of the process of a country ham being cured, and then they are going to be auctioned at the end of the process. The kids pocket the money, and the money
What
is
percent of the money?
like all of it. You buy the ham, but then you pocket all the money, and it tends to be community leaders, elected officials, agriculture related businesses that bid on these hams, and it's to invest in the next generation. Honestly, that's really what it's about, is giving these kids some life skills, and the adults get a chance to show that they're participating in the community and so on. But to get to that stage, there are a couple of hurdles. You have to give a speech about the country ham. So both of my boys had to stand in front of a fairly large audience and give some short speeches, and then you have to cold call. You have to cold call and invite people to the country ham auction. And so Mike, that's really what I want to talk about, is the fact that we had to prepare these youngsters for cold calling, their very first sales calls.
Oh, this is fantastic. So to give our audience, both of them, a sense, if you would, how old are the kids involved in this exercise?
So Simon is 11.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a 4-H member. Harrison is 9, and he is sort of junior 4-H. They call them Clover Buds. So
Clover Buds.
Yeah. So we got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. Big sis did not want to have anything to do with it. Little sis was too young. So
Right.
so boys did this.
So yeah, when you think about making a sales call, giving a speech at 9 and 11 years old, man, you're talking way outside the comfort zone.
Like so far outside the comfort zone that like they don't even know in some cases that it's something to be scared of, but they don't know how to do it. They do not know how to do it. Yeah. So it was a really interesting process. Their mom worked with them a lot on the speech. They had to have, research. They had to, cite a source. They had to, make it logical. It's frankly, it's classical rhetoric in many ways. There's all these different things that you do in a speech, and a lot of them were what they were talking about. you didn't have to memorize it, but you needed to be able to look up and make eye contact. And, you know, I don't think anything that I'm saying here is going to surprise you. They were, you know, they were judged with a score on their speeches. But the main thing was that you know, as long as you didn't fail the speech, that got you to the next stage of, you know, being able to make the cold calls and attend the auction. So it was it was that was quite an experience in and of itself. Just to see them go up on stage and deliver and learn how to slow down. We did a lot of rehearsals, and you know, if you're a listener of this podcast, then you know how I handled that. Hey, what did you do specifically when you just rehearsed your speech that went well? What specifically could you do different the next time? All right, how would we implement that? All right, let's listen to it again. It might surprise you to learn that sometimes they didn't want to do it again. They thought that maybe if they just did it 1 or 2 times, that would be enough. But we did, as their managers, as their parents, we decided that we would encourage them to continue in that process without burning them out. And by the time they presented, they both did really well, and had definitely grown in the process. So that was pretty cool to watch. And then it was time for the cold calls. So.
Man, that's fantastic. So and we see this all the time in role plays. You know, there's always that initial resistance of role play.
Yep.
Right. And if you're a manager, you got to push through that resistance. And on the other side is where all the good stuff is.
Yep.
So yeah, I always I've said it before, right? Yeah, role play is kind of like getting a little kid to take a bath. You know, I don't want to play it. I don't want to take a bath. And then they get in there and they're like, this is fun. Like, get out of the tub. No, I don't want to get out of the tub. But, you know, this was useful. So, yeah, you push through that resistance. They saw value in it. Maybe they didn't see as much value. So they wanted to, you know, repetition can get boring if you're 9 and 11 years old. So,
100%. 100%.
But yeah, pushing through that, nice debrief after each time. And then I picked up, you said you recorded it.
We did. We did record
see, that's nice. Nice touch there. Going to game film, right?
Yep.
Going to tape.
And
to what we did.
We also had 2 live exercises. One was the county fair. That was when they did the speech, was at the, you know, Madison County, Kentucky fair, state county fair. And then Simon was old enough that he went on to state. So he went to the Kentucky State Fair and delivered the speech, which was a completely different experience. It actually was a smaller crowd because of how many kids they're trying to get through the project. Basically, he had to wait for like 2 hours in a line and go into a room and present to just 2 judges. So I can't tell you what happened there because it was sort of like a closed door exercise. But he had, you know, he had to do that, right? Like, so that was a completely different mindset for him to get in. As, you know, I'm just going to sit here and wait, and all the stuff happening around me, and then, you know, gosh, it's lunchtime. I'm getting hungry, but I have to go do this speech now. And, you know, so yeah, it's just a whole nother set of learning because he repeated it as a live fire exercise a second time. So that was all in run up to, you know, sort of the what was theoretically going to be the hard part, making these cold calls and inviting people to come to the auction and bid on his ham. You know, that was the idea.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm picturing at the state level, right? They're icing the kicker. Yeah, we're gonna put him in a delay and see if the anxiety builds up. How does he handle this? And then yeah, boom, now you're up. Right, it's all or nothing, kid. Go for it. Like, man,
He said the kid awesome. Next to him in line said, "You look like, are you going to throw up? You better not throw up." And Simon said, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't going to throw up. But yeah,
so there was some trying tension. To get in his head.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, they're icing the kicker. I'm gonna make it worse.
They were playing off each other, I think.
Yeah. The wind's blowing pretty hard to the left. You might want to kick a little to the right. Yeah. Mind games at the 4-H ham. This is these guys are this is an elite level competition.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun.
All right, so we got to make a cold call.
Yeah, so there's a list, and everybody's assigned some folks on the list. Now, you probably already sensing that that list might be a little bit seeded, right? You know, we've got some people on here who are politicians and so on. But you know, I want the call to go well for them. I don't want this to be a super negative experience. I want them to really get the learning of, you know, like you can pick up the phone and talk to an adult. That is something you can do. You can talk to adults. Mm-hmm. Now, full disclosure, this happens to homeschoolers actually a lot. Our kids talk to adults a lot. You know, they're used to talking to people of all different generations, and so when you're at a store, a lot of times the shopkeeper will say, "You homeschool, don't you?" And he'll say, "How do you know that?" He said, "Because your kids are able to talk to me." So that's a thing that happens quite a bit. So that part I wasn't too worried about, but it is weird, right? To have a voice in your ear and to have to stay on task for a thing you're trying to accomplish. That, you know, that's bizarre. So I had them do some, you know, thumb and pinky to the ear and mouth role play cold calls. It was, and I'll put up some pictures obviously of this, but it was a lot of fun. I put a partition of a couch pillow between them, and I had them set on opposite sides of the couch. You know, one of them had their script, one of them was pretending to be the customer, and then I pretended to be the customer, and we sat back to back. And so I had them go through, you know, what they would do to call. And it was, it's phenomenally helpful. As you say, nobody wants to do it. It wasn't that bad because it was just their dad, but, you know, some things happened, such as just complete lockup, you know, just completely frozen. Like, oh, what do I say next? And the best one was, I can't remember what name I used when I answered the phone, but I said, you know, hello, this is Dwight. And my youngest just cracked up and he said, "Oh man, oh no, what am I going to do if they say their name something like Jude Tanunigan?" I don't know. I have no idea where that name came from.
Jude Tanunigan.
So,
that would be the cold caller's worst nightmare.
Right.
Yes. I'm sorry, JT. I can't speak to you right now.
Right.
Your name is too funny.
I'm gonna put you on mute for a second.
Yeah.
But we did many of those exercises. And then of course what's great is they make their first call and it does not go like the role play, right? Like we role played a lot of different ways the call could go, but that, you know, we didn't anticipate that the first caller would hear the boy's voice and think it's a girl. You know, a little boy's voice, thought it was a girl. So, you know, the whole call, he's like getting misgendered. It's a bad thing in our society. So, yeah, they made their first calls. I had them each do their first call. And then we stopped and did another coaching session. Again, you know, all right, what worked that time? You know, what would you do differently the next time? And one of them figured out, like, well, if they say this, I really need to skip this part of the script and go straight to here. And the other one, unfortunately, was just an absolute a little too perfect. He called our county judge executive, our, you know, sort of highest elected official who happens to know our family. And I could hear his, you know, his deep country voice on the other side. He goes, "What? Wait a minute. What'd you say your name was, honey? Harrison Ramsey? Is your dad tall and ugly?" And he said, "Yeah, that sounds right." And he goes, "I'll try to be there, buddy." I was like, you know, like, so it, like, nothing was there was no ice breaking. The client took over, you know.
Right.
But you know, it was fun to watch them have to sweat a little bit and see that, you know, they could improve how they handled their calls. Sorry, it was Simon that had the judge executive call. Harrison got a surgeon who was in surgery. So We didn't plan for that role play, you know. So the doctor's interrupting him, saying, Harrison, hey, buddy, I'm in surgery. It's okay. It's okay. No worries. It's okay. I'm gonna call you back after we're done. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. So you can just, see his arms like elbow deep in somebody's, sternum or whatever. But yeah, just who would have had those experiences if you hadn't had those experiences? So we plowed through all of that, and the people show up at the auction, which was last night, and the kids walk around with their hams one at a time and get introduced, and they're supposed to smile at everybody.
You didn't say there would be ham modeling.
Oh, it was.
So there's
and,
a ham runway. There's ham modeling.
There's no runway.
There's the
they
pose.
Want you up close and personal. They want you back and forth.
You had to go work your ham into the crowd.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Man,
and
if even more painful.
If you're smart, you're also doing what 4-H tells you to do, which is at the beginning, before the auction, you're going around and smiling and shaking people's hands and introducing yourself and your ham.
Yeah,
so
you don't want any ham-fisted introductions.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for that.
I'm here for you the whole way.
Yeah, I can tell. I wanted to tell some puns myself, but I didn't want to be a pig about it. Anyway, so the boys made a lot of money. They pocket the money. It's insane. I mean, it's genuinely insane. I can't believe that they get away with giving kids that much money. Like, I don't want to say the number. It's so embarrassing. But basically that's the end of the evening, right? And we haven't had the conversation all the way, but I've already planted the seed. I said, what did you notice that seemed to work for the kids who made the most money? Right? What are those things? And
better haircut.
Yes. What I noticed personally was that if you come groomed, preferably with a cowboy hat and boots, or including the young ladies, or a nice dress. If you come being able to look people in the eye, and when you're walking the ham around, if you put on a little bit of a show, right? Look at this. Smell my ham. Like that kind of stuff worked. It actually did work.
You can touch my ham.
Yep. And I'm sure some of it was a little political. I'm sure there were some friends in the audience, and it may be, and I'm going to put up this picture, it may be that the tractor dealership who has an employee sitting at the table next to us might have overheard the grandfather of one of my kids talking about whether or not he gets a John Deere or a Kubota. And next thing you know, he's sitting with us saying, I'd like to introduce myself. And he ended up bidding on one of my son's hams. So, yeah, I mean, look, we're playing a little bit of a game here, right? We're playing a little bit of a game.
There's payola in the ham business?
I'm not going to say it's payola. I'm just going to say it's good business sense, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yes.
Yep. So it was kind of fun to watch this event unfold, and my kids are definitely riding a high right now, feeling pretty good about, what they have accomplished. So.
Well, yeah. You bring home that kind of bank.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure they're looking at you today going, you going to contribute a little something to the household fund today, Dad?
Well, I have to tell you,
last night.
Simon, who had a little pocket money from some other things that he had done at the state fair, such as the ham speech. He had won some cash for that. He won a silent auction item. So he's got a new bag of equipment to go fishing with. That he paid for with his own cash out of his own wallet. And so, yeah, he's feeling like a grown up this morning. I mean, yeah, the whole thing was pretty nice. So,
yeah, no, that is nice. Yeah. I mean, you think about, right. The fix was in, right. This was going to end positively for the kids.
That's right.
But the kids don't know that.
Yeah.
And so you get the same stresses, the same anxiety, the same fears, the same exhaustion with the process that you would get in the real world.
Yep.
So this was kind of like, this was a mouse race preparing them for the rat race. So yeah, this is, I like this, and it dovetails so nicely with what we do.
That's right.
And you think about it, this is one of those things that we lost during the pandemic. So
Yeah.
role play, training, role plays. Oh my gosh, we can't have like two people in the same room talking, at the same time, right? Somebody will get Ebola and die.
Yep.
So role plays, training, all that went away. We brought the training back to some extent.
Yeah.
But I would say the role plays, because managers encounter resistance when they go to do role plays, that has been one of the last things to come back in the workplace, and it's probably the thing that's needed the most.
I think 100% it's needed the most. And we've talked about this on the podcast before. The few times that my training personally has involved role playing or live fire exercises where I was actually coaching a client, for instance, or cold calling a customer myself back in the days when I was in telecom. That was the most beneficial training I received. I mean, I get it that sometimes it has to be a data dump. You have to just be given knowledge and you need to go absorb that. But the way to being able to do this in real life is to go do this in real life. You have this, even a role play is a moment where the words are coming out of your mouth and you're going, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Or, I see how that question would work now. Or, I just vapor locked. I really don't want to do that the next time this happens. What do I need to prepare for myself to make sure that, I've got the next thing to say? What do I need to change about my, the outline of a script in my head? Not that I'm going to use a script on paper, but I've got something prepared in my head that's a mental model I'm going to walk through, with this client, with this customer, what have you. I think it is the most formative thing you can do. And again, I love your point. It's the mouse race preparing you for the rat race. It is live. It is a real thing when you do this with an actual customer. But how could we as managers sort of guide it to the fix that you were talking about? How could we guide it to where it's as least likely to just come off the rails as possible, so that this person gets built up after it's over, and not just the life lessons, the learning lessons of, oh, here's something I could do differently next time, but how could they get a win out of this as well? I think that's a huge question.
Oh yeah, and I'm envisioning, right, the manager, he's going to have the new salesperson role play their speech, their cold call, their pitch, whatever it might be, and then their first customer lead that they give them would be somebody whose propensity to buy is very favorable. It's like, it'd be pretty hard not to sell this person something. So I want to create a circumstance where the person they're going to win. And then we're going to debrief and talk about the next one. So and so I always approached role play was at the beginning, it needs to be incredibly safe. So I want to create a safe environment. It's a learning environment, right? One of the keys to a good role play is to, during the debrief, always let the person who was doing the role play go first.
Thank you.
So you always go, I've got some thoughts, but before I share them, what do you think you did well? What would you do differently the next time? And we'll talk about that, and they'll cover about 80 to 90% of the stuff. And then if there's something additional you want to add to that, or just be affirmative, yep, you probably could have gone without saying that at that point, or and you'll have these wonderful conversations. Sometimes I'll do it where I'll have them do it, in pairs or in trios, instead of, a lot of facilitators want them to come in front of the large group right off the bat. And that, we'll get there, but I don't want to start there. I want to walk people's confidence level up. Because if you start by terrorizing somebody, the rest of the crowd, they don't want to play anymore.
Yeah, and this happens in all sorts of arenas. I mean, you can think about a TV show. They don't do it live first. They do it in rehearsal. But
Mhm.
before they do a rehearsal, they do a table read. Like that.
Mhm.
So there's a process that you're going to walk through to get to that level. And why are they doing that? It's partly because having the audience changes the headspace.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't have a lot of muscle memory on some of the things that you need to learn at first. And so I can learn those things at first. If I'm just in a pair or a trio, I can say the words out loud and realize, oh, that sounds goofy. Oh, that's what that means. That, whatever it is that you're practicing in your role play, you're still getting that lesson before you even need an audience, before you even need a live exercise.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had the similar experience. I turned 16. Dad said, if you want a car, you got to buy one. You get a job. And so I was like, oh, that works for me. So I found a car and I had a job. And I said, well, all right. So what do I do now, Dad? And Dad's like, well, now you put on your suit and you go up and talk to the banker man to see if he'll give you a loan. Like what? So I put on my suit and tie. All right, I got the facts about my car that this used car that I found. Go in, they make you wait. Right, I'm here. See, Mr. Gale. Oh, Mr. Gale's in a meeting. Can you, so you're sitting there just like sweating, just like this is awful. And then finally, Mr. Gale's like, I'll see you now, and he sits you down, and you don't know that him and my dad have talked.
Right.
Right. Oh, you want a car? Hey, yeah. What kind of car is it? Ooh, that's a lot of money. You got a job? Yeah. How long you had the job? 2 weeks. That's not a lot of job history there. Just putting me through it was just, I can remember what he was wearing. Right. I remember it was that.
This was an intense moment for you.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to walk to school. It's about 4 miles. I don't want to do that. So, I know your family. You seem like a good kid. I'm gonna take a chance on you. And so he comes back with the money. I had to sign. So I don't even know if it was real paper. Right? If it was a contract, it was probably what he wanted to have for lunch that day. I don't know. I just signed stuff. And then, only years later, I find out, it was all in. There was no way I would leave without the money, So,
awesome.
but the experience, the preparation, the experiencing the feelings that you would actually experience in a real situation, priceless learning, priceless.
Right. And again, this can scale up, right? Because maybe the next time that we've got a safe customer, where it's a guaranteed outcome. Maybe the next time it's with a not safe customer, but the manager is right there in the wings, or a senior salesperson or employee, whatever you do for a living, is right there in the wings, sort of observing or there to step in and provide coaching from the sidelines, as we talk about often, tactical coaching. So, you can work your way up to giving somebody, just the best case scenario for being able to fly well once they launch. And I'll state the obvious here. This all takes time.
Oh yeah. When you think about the process that you went through, right? Practicing the speech, researching the speech, practicing the speech, doing the speech, then the cold calls. I got to practice cold calls, then I got to do the cold. Yeah, all of it.
Yep.
Was a process of development.
That's right.
But the outcome was definitely worth it, because now you're sitting on some of that sweet ham money.
Oh yeah.
That your family's set for life. So
the kids literally brought home the bacon, and that's what I was most impressed with. So
oh yeah, they're little Jimmy Deans in training. It's gonna be awesome. So yeah, I always like, you're watching an interview and they're interviewing, or it's a documented, they're interviewing soldiers that have experienced combat.
Yeah.
And they're always talking to him, what was it like the first time someone fired a shot at you in anger? And they all say almost exactly the same thing. They said, well, my training kicked in.
Yeah.
And I just did what we had trained for months to do. And most of them will also say the training was more intense than actual combat.
Yeah.
So they had prepared me so well and prepared me for scenarios that were even more intense than what I experienced. So that actually felt fairly easy to take the actions necessary, in the situation. So yeah, they complete confidence. They discovered that, yeah, what they had practiced for, wasn't what they experienced. It was actually easier. And so they could do the job.
That's spot on. I'm thinking of a friend of mine who is a veteran, and I asked him about that. And I'm going to keep this as anonymous as I possibly can, but he basically, he said the first time he was shot at and returned fire when they went out on that patrol, he said he threw up that morning. And he said he was with some pretty bad hombres. I believe he said there was Green Berets and Delta Force both for some reason that were in this group. And he said they just quietly stood there, let him throw up. And, he sort of came back to the group, and they said, hey, we all did that the first time too. It'll never happen again. And, like you think about that, right? Like we're just talking about, selling a car or, whatever it is, we're not talking in most cases about a life or death situation, but like, you don't know, right? You don't know what's going to come next. And so there's natural anxiety until you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we walk through a role play process, we're helping people take out as many of those I don't knows as we possibly can, until we're without a net, until we're in front of a live audience. And that's the beauty of this sort of role play process. So we're big fans of role playing at Hip Socket, at Success Amplified. I think It Doesn't Take a Genius probably wouldn't exist in many ways if you and I had not done many repetitions of the kinds of stuff we're talking about, to where this is just, fun to talk about for us. So big fans. Kids have ham money. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah. Well, it was fascinating and such, you don't hear these stories as much. It seems like a lot of this type of, childhood experiences have gone away. And it's nice to see,
Yeah.
you look at 4-H, you look at Future Farmers of America, things like
Yep.
that. I was always amazed that Future Farmers of America was actually a leadership training program
That's right.
with a little bit of agriculture on the side.
You got it.
And so, yeah, learning these skills, you're right, they're learning life skills. I told my daughter, right, there's always going to come a point where you're going to have to speak in front of a crowd.
That's right.
Whether it's going up in front of the water commission and protesting your water bill that was too high for no apparent reason.
Yep.
Right, you're going to have to do that at some point.
Yep.
And so, yeah, good job parenting wise, right, preparing them for this situation and giving them confidence that now, all right, they've got another life skill in their quiver that they can pull out when needed and feel more confident doing so.
Well, I appreciate that. It was a nice end of the summer, and I hope it inspires our listeners to, just think about what investment they need to do to get their people ready for the next thing, or the investment they can do in themselves to get them ready for the next thing. Go take a risk, but just not a big risk. Take the little risk first.
Right. Yeah. In a controlled laboratory situation, then you'll be ready for the real world.
There it is.
Good stuff. Well, I like it. Let's throw it over to our announcer. He's hamtastic as well. Take it away, Mr. Wolf. Wait a minute. Wasn't there a wolf and 3 pigs? Yeah. Oh, this is not good. All right. Anyway, Mr. Wolf, take it away.
So go ahead and tweet that. or share it any other way you want. As always, there are no rights reserved, no trademarks, no copyrights. Share it if you want to. And join us next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.